Jan, let me check with you, and what have you done at GE, or what has GE done to address this really across your broad spectrum of businesses and locations? You talked about the divisions and how strong the teams are there.
Right, and so similar to the idea that we have, the strong controllership and finance teams within each of these segments. Obviously we have dedicated auditors for these segments who are very familiar with the business, So in terms of how we are dealing with whatever increased documentation is needed, it's done in some ways in a decentralized basis, to the extent that there are individual issues or controls that need to be documented, whether it might be in aviation or oil and gas. Obviously these all do bubble up in terms of our overall ICFR and our overall SOX environment, but we do have we work closely with the engagement teams. It's definitely been a more significant topic of conversation with our auditors as time progresses, and the feedback that they may be getting from the PCAOB. I will say that I feel that I've been fortunate in that they've been productive conversations around, how can we do things better? What things should we look at more closely? Certainly as we have acquisition or disposition activity, which is an area of focus for the PCAOB, and if you follow, some of the things that we're doing as a company, we are squarely in that space. So I actually find that having some additional feedback in terms of what the PCAOB may be looking for, what our auditors may be looking for, so we can actually get ahead of the curve as much as possible, rather than trying to respond in retrospect once an inspection occurs, is useful. I think anytime you can front-end load it, that's really important. Because of the nature of our environment, we have a lot that is decentralized, but we also are moving also to a number of processes that are being done in our shared services center. So we are starting to look at the benefits of that and thinking about how that impacts our system of internal controls. How can we leverage that better, particularly as we have more and more diverse work migrating to the shared services center. And I guess just one other element that we've had to think about is just how our internal control environment is changing relative to some of our business activities. So in particular, we did add some disclosure this year regarding our internal control environment, particularly as it relates to our exit from the capital business, and the fact that as you are disposing of businesses or having to value certain properties, you have to have additional checks and balances around what that means. And so we actually added some disclosure this year to address that issue. So, those are some of the things that we're seeing just because of the breadth of what we operate in.